Hey, how's it going, folks?
Turn right on Mountaineer
I'm here today,
Expressway.
out traveling, taking care of some business. I had a couple people that have been inquiring on the first time you go out as a vendor, setting up wholesale accounts with the fragrances, like let's say like the body oils, the incense, stuff like that. Again, you could kind of like apply this to anything that you do wholesale. But the question from one of the subscribers was, what would your first day look like going out as a incense or body oil vendor, wholesaling to the different accounts, such as like let's say smoke shops and whatnot. The first day for me would be to, and this is how I learned, because I learned from a guy who ran a fragrance oil business out of a bread truck, and this was the guy that actually got me started. But he told me straight from the very beginning. He said, listen, he said, all right, he said, now you know how to make incense, now you know how to do this. All right, now I'm gonna show you how to run this business, because we were doing business together. I was buying wholesale from him at the time, and he told me, so you're gonna go in the morning. He said you're gonna go, the owners of the liquor stores or smoke shops or convenience stores, they're usually there around what was it, like he said something like 10 a.m. to around noon, and some of them they come back actually like around 3 o'clock. But the prime time hours for the store owners is going to be somewhere around 10 o'clock to noon, because obviously they've got to open the store. You know, they probably have to bring change for the cash registers. You know, they have to make sure everything's stocked up. Usually that's a manager's job, but when it comes down to, let's say, like a mom and pop type of setup, there has to be a little bit more involvement. You know, with the store owner, he has to be a little bit more involved than let's say a corporate company. Obviously, a CEO isn't going to come out and check every single store to make sure it's operating correctly. So what I find is that with a lot of the mom and pop store owners who run smoke shops, liquor stores, convenience stores, whatever, these guys will come out around 10 to noon. And the way I used to do it is I would go up, I would have a point of display, I would have a container with the incense bags in there. Each bag would be about 10 to 12 sticks in a bag. Some people do 8 sticks. And I would have them in the 2x3 Ziploc bags. And on the container, what I used to do, I used to get empty Tupperware containers, and I would just take the lid off and throw them away because I didn't need them. And then I would get I would laminate, I would make a color sign saying 99 cents only, and I would put my phone number, I would put my business name, I would try to use nice colors and get that laminated. So now you have like a little square laminated, and then you just tape it on that little bucket or that little container. And you want to make sure it's a container that's not too big to fit on the countertop, because you have to remember one thing, or a few things. You know, the countertop space for a gas station or a liquor store or a convenience store, that space is real limited. So that's where they're going to have stuff like gum. They're going to have all the impulse items that people impulsively buy just because they just want to have it. You know, that's where they would like to have all of that stuff. So your display setup can't be too big. I found in the past that if your display setup is too big, if it's not a standalone display setup where you have your own shelving and all that stuff set up, and you're expecting to get a little small spot on the countertop, you might not make that sale, even though that owner wants to really bring in your product. Your stuff might end up going in the back where nobody can see it. So make sure your container or your display is small enough to where it's going to fit on that countertop. So what I would do is it was just a numbers game. Like I would go out, let's say from 9 hit as many places as I could along the way. And usually the way it goes down is something like this. I would walk up, I would say, hey, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, my name's Ishmael, I'm in the fragrance business, blah, blah, blah. I've got, you know, these handcrafted incense here that I make. I also sell body oils. Would you be interested? And, you know, if your incense are made good enough, you're going to put that container in front of them, let them take a whiff, and 9 times out of 10, it's either going to be a yes or a no. You don't need to, like, sit there, especially with incense, you don't need to sit there and give them an education on it, you know, like it's some kind of like you're selling them a car or something. I mean, we're talking a kit that costs no more than $60. You know, I mean, they're probably gonna burn that in their SUV, you know, as soon as they leave their business. So that's what I'm saying, is something like that for the store owner is an impulse buy. That would be the same equivalent as you seeing a pack of gum on a countertop and saying yes or no. That's how it is for them. So it's either going to be a yes or a no. If it's a yes, you're going to have your receipt book. You're going to say, here is this much for this many bags. And I usually will not accept to sell anything less than 100 bags. I would sell about 100 bags for $60. If they tried to talk me down, I usually wouldn't go any lower than $50. Okay. The guy that got me started, he would actually say stuff like, you know, because sometimes people really try to haggle him really bad. Like the people that are like, they want to be real cheap about it, and they would say stuff like, hey, well, how about I get like 20 bags off of you? And he would say stuff like, well, tell you what, how about you just don't buy any? So, I never really said that, but I would just keep it real, you know, try to keep it real professional. Just say, listen, you know, my minimum is 100 bags, and I wouldn't go anywhere below that. And even if they got, you know, 3 or 4 containers, my recommendation is still don't go down, unless it's going to be someone like, let's say, a cash and carry. The cash and carries, those are the guys that sell to all the convenience stores and liquor stores. Those are the big guys. Those are the wholesalers. Those are the guys that are going to turn around and buy 200-300 of your containers. So unless it's someone like them, I really wouldn't come down in pricing. When you know that store owner's, you know, he's probably not going to call you back for another 2 months. And it also depends on how your incense are made. Let's say, for example, if you have a really great smelling incense that's just super concentrated, right? You can, I've heard of people getting away with selling only one fragrance. And I think I know how that's done. I think what's going on is some people, what they'll do is make it a really concentrated scent. Because let's face it, I mean, look at companies like Nag Champa. I mean, those guys, they say that brand, it's like the most imported fragrance. I'm sorry, the most exported fragrance in the world as far as incense sticks go. The most exported incense in the world. And originally, those guys only started off with 1 cent. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do things right the first time, you can really make a huge impact on the customer with just that one item. So I found that there were people out there that they were doing stuff like making, let's say, 1 fragrance and putting that out, and that was like, you know, a standalone fragrance, and customers were buying that all day long. So you know, really what it is, it's really a numbers game. And I'm gonna take a quick pause because this is getting a little lengthy. Just stop it for a second.